What's up guys, this is Mosen here with MTA 61 for the 7th of April 2019 and the topics. We're talking about Smite Priest versus Holy Priest, coming in a really cool comment from a priest I know, and so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about
Neretzek the Blooddrinker,
and should you start WoW Classic now before the official servers come out, and that is bringing us to the Reddit section. So, welcome back everybody to your, news and daily content regarding Classic WoW. Bringing you news and discussion every day, almost every day. Let's be honest here. It's not every day. It's almost every day, right? But I'm doing the best I can. I don't think I can make it every day, but it's daily, on a daily basis. It's not weekly. That's why it's daily, right? That's what I like to make myself believe. So you just have to do. But we're trying to give it out, bring this video out as much as we can. So let's jump right into the first topic, and it came in from Bax Forcha, and that's on the Lights Hope Reddit. I found this today, and I found this to be maybe a really cool post for all you people that aren't actually playing Classic right now. You're just consuming the content, getting ready, on the hype train. And he's asking, should I join Northdale? Let's let me get this a little bit bigger because I'm getting old. I'm a current retail player and I've been getting the itch to try some Classic content before Classic actually releases on live servers. Is this server still a fun experience for a new player? And I keep seeing all the ganking posts, which turn me off, but I know it's something that's unavoidable. Anyone here advice for a new player wanting to start on the lines? Now, my good sir, Bax Forcha, right? First of all, if you're feeling the itch, try it out, right? There's a couple of, it's a little bit hard to answer the question if you are getting burned out quickly, right? So you don't want to start out now, especially now. It's already April, right? So if the prediction that we have, the scene has, is true, then Classic's gonna release in July. So you have about like 3 months, right? So it's not a whole lot of time. So if you just want to get the hang of it, right, and just get back into it a little bit and see what class you want to have, what you want to play, because one good reason to start right now is probably so you don't end up rolling a class when Classic releases, when everybody's gonna be in a rush. That you realize you don't want to play it, right? You thought, okay, a really good example, for example, is the Feral Druid, right? So I know a lot of players from retail, let's say, from other add-ons aside from Classic, play Feral Druid, and since we're recruiting people, right? I always sometimes I whisper druids, and we were in need of some druids, and not a long while back, and they would say, no, you're looking for healers because I'm Feral Druid, right? I'm just playing Feral Druid. I'm like, okay. Do you know what that means in Classic, right? Because Feral Druid in Classic is fucking hard to pull off, right? And you're always in a competitive raid situation, for example. That is probably putting you in a bad spot, and you really have to spend way more gold than other classes, way more gold, to get the same results, right? And you're always going to be in midfield. A couple of more reasons, right? And so they think this class is good, and then at some point they will end up realizing, okay, shit, man, maybe I just really rolled a class that is so hard to pull off, and I can't spend 200 gold per raid to keep up if you're in a, and then they end up, it's just very exhausting. Then they end up re-rolling, and that would be a shame, right? If you spend so much time invest in it, and in the end you realize, okay, crap, this is really not what I was looking for. I have to spend way too much gold, to just be competitive. So a really good reason for that would be probably to just start, try a couple of classes out that you've been eyeing at, right? See how healing is, see how tanking is, see how DPS is, and if you already know, okay, I don't like tanking, try out the 2-3 classes that you like the most and see how they actually feel, because it's going to be a really a lot different from how it is in other add-ons, right? But again, like if you're getting burned out after, if you level to 20 and you have like, oh my god, this sucks, and you're already done with playing the game, just save it for in 3 months. Okay, you're not really missing out on anything. It's still a good time to start though, because almost all of the content is out on Northdale at the moment. You know, IQ40 is released. You can get a really easy start in MC Pugs, and you know, Nax is gonna come out soon. So my best tip is always try the 2-3 classes that you, or try all of them, I don't know. Just try and level them to 20 and see what's going on, right? And or pick 2 classes that you're going to level. And regarding the ganking posts, well, this is just what you can read on Reddit, right? Of course it's a PvP server and there's ganking going on, but it's not as bad as, you know, these ganking posts suggest, because that's basically just people ganking each other in Red Ridge, I believe it was. And so don't put too much weight into that. And that leads us into the next section of this MTA. It's the biz, and you know how the biz is, right? This Warlock's actually helping me. We're always looking at you know, interesting items to play around with, and today we have a really cool Drain Life item. It has been requested in the comments, so please get your pet off me. We can actually test out the item we're talking about right here. And there it is, right? It's
Neretzek the Blooddrinker.
And you know, this axe has been requested in the comments, and I talked about it in the last MTA really quick. It's a really cool Drain Life item, and it's especially good for paladins, and I will tell you why. First of all, this axe drops from the trash mobs in AQ40. So if you're looking to get your hands on a sweet axe, this is probably one of the cooler ones, because the proc is a Drain Life proc. And what makes Drain Life procs so cool is usually pretty simple. They scale with spell damage. And why is it really good for paladins especially? Well, paladins have, first of all, they have Reckoning. So with Reckoning, for those of you that don't know, you can already see the procs coming in here. Reckoning gives you a 100%, or when you get crit, you gain an extra attack on the target. So I'm sitting down, get crit. This probably won't work on official realms, but you know, still, if you get crit in a normal way, you still get the extra auto attack, which then of course means another auto attack with your Seal of Righteousness. And this is the connection, you know, the Seal of Righteousness counts as another melee attack for a paladin. So every melee swing, you know, if you're not a red paladin using Seal of Command, you basically have 2 melee attacks going out for each melee hit. Which of course makes anything, any axe, any weapon with a, you know, chance on hit really good for a pally, because you double the chance on hit, and it can lead to really cool burst combos, and it's just awesome. Now the other thing that makes this really good for a paladin is, for example, well, in general, that you have add heal, and Drain Life items usually also profit from, you know, plus heal you have. That is the healing portion of the proc. So this axe, for example, has a chance to steal 141 to 163 life from the enemy target. So the add heal goes on top of that to a certain degree, right? And we found out that the spell damage coefficient is actually 100%. So 140 spell damage is what I have equipped right now. Okay, so I'm just gonna go and get more procs from the mobs and see what we can do. And that of course makes it really cool, because the you know, the if the spell damage goes onto the damage 1-to-1, there we go. We just had one. We just had a proc, so we can check it out. Was 297 shadow damage, right? So the baseline is 163, something along those lines. So if it was 100%, it should be something like 300 if I add my 140 spell damage on it, and we were at 297. So the spell damage coefficient is 100%, which is pretty freaking awesome, especially if you're a holy paladin, or you know, like me, prots, or even if you're a red paladin, because you should be having a lot of spell damage stacked, and it's pretty cool for open world PvP, because people really don't expect this. And of course it deals damage and it heals yourself with a doubled proc chance. Now, what is of course really cool is, in general, you probably have seen some videos where people use, paladins use the Skullforge Reaver, for example, right? Another one-hand sword and has a drain life dot that channels life onto you and drains it from the target, which also scales with add heal, the healing portion of it, which just makes paladin such a cool class because you can experiment with so many items and it's just a lot of fun. So basically, what you can do is you have all of this stuff. So it scales with spell damage and add heal. It heals you, it damages the enemy. You have double the proc rate because Seed of Righteousness is another hit. In combination with Reckoning, this leads to huge burst combos. And now if you are really cool, right, you have the full tier 1 set, and your 8 set bonus gives you a chance to heal yourself and your party. Now this is not just in combination with this axe, but it just makes it so much cooler, right? Because there's so much add heal and self heal now in combination with this. And technically, I think the best enchant would be to have, 30 spell power on this axe, because it also, gives 30 extra damage on each of your procs. But this is just my second axe when I'm not using Nightfall, so I just, I don't want to spend too much money. So I just put life stealing on this, and in the worst case, you can, you can actually pop a shadow power elixir or a normal shadow potion, which also will scale with this. So Flask of the Supreme Power will go on top of this, for example, right? Anything that boosts your spell damage. You can also put a shadow oil on this to get even more shadow damage out, and then it really becomes a fun thing to do. So I will try that out with the shadow oil. But what I was also going to tell you is, with the 8 set bonus that gives you a chance to heal you and your party for 211, right? This becomes even more fun because you can just equip the 8 set bonus, right? And then if you want to go and sit down a little bit, so you can already say it already procced, right? So the 8 set bonus already procced. So I'm gonna get some Reckoning stacks here. So in case you get crit a lot against like a dagger rogue, you can do this, right? And as you can see, there's a lot of plus healing going out, and a lot of extra healing going out, right? Because you will basically have the 8 set bonus that heals you, you have the drain life of the axe that heals you, and you have the life stealing that heals you, and just look at this. If that's not rewarding to play, then I don't know what is, right? And you can do this in open world PvP all the time. Like rogues try to ambush all the time, and you just sit down 3 times, and then you put this in their face. You're healed up, and they just basically either have to run or just die a horrible death, right? So, boom. But there you go, that was the biz, right? Today we had Neretzek the Blooddrinker, and this leads us to the next section of this MTA, and I want to make this MTA a little bit longer because you have been waiting for quite a few videos when I was gone. So we're talking about the Discipline Priest versus the Holy Priest. Ernal actually wrote a comment. Right, Ernal actually wrote a comment, and I know he was saying that it's an interesting thought, right? And essentially, he would always prefer the Holy Priest, right? And I was wondering, why would he prefer the Holy Priest? And we're going to take a look at that, because from what I've heard, just as a general thing, from what I have heard, priests in more hardcore guilds, what's more raid beneficial is that all priests are speccing into the power infusion. And now if this discussion, if you don't know where this discussion comes from, in MTA 60, if you want to go and check that out, we've been talking about offensive, the cool thing, we're talking about the cool thing about Discipline Priests being an offensive caster rather than anything else. So they would go something along these lines in the spec. I'm going to show you right now. This would be the Discipline Priest Smite type healer, right? And you'd be using Renew very much, but what you would want to do is you would pick up the Force of Will talent, 5 spell damage increased, and 5% crit chance on your offensive spells. And you also get the 5% crit chance over here, so I'm not going to go into the detail. If you want to know about the offensive support kind of priest, then go and watch MTA 60. But we were talking basically about this, and that from what I've heard, my understanding always was that you know, Power Infusion is basically a little bit more superior spec for priests to be in a raid situation, because obviously Power Infusion, for people that don't know what it is, it's also you know, it's called PI, right? So if you were wondering what PI is, when your raid leader says it, it's a spell that a Discipline Priest has as their ultimate that increases the spell damage and healing of the target by 20%. And it's a very low cooldown, I believe it's 2 or 3 minutes, and it lasts 15 seconds. So now obviously this is a huge damage boost if you put this on a very well geared Warlock or a very well geared Mage, right? Fire Mage, for example. And the thing is that in higher tier content like AQ40 and Naxxramas, the thing is that encounters have a lot of raid damage. So naturally, if you have more damage, then encounters take less time, and your chance of wiping and getting shot by these or getting targeted or one shot by very strong abilities of bosses, you know, is reduced. So in general, you can say ads die quicker, right? So you can kill an ad quick. Oftentimes you need to kill an ad really quick, otherwise a tank dies and you have, you know, some trouble getting control over the fight again. And all of these things basically have a chain reaction. So the more damage you have, in generally speaking, is way better, obviously, I guess. And so Power Infusion comes, for me personally, makes more sense for all priests to be in, right? To have only 5, let's say you have 5 priests and you have 5 Discipline Priests, and they can all hand out this damage buff to then really geared casters or themselves to get a really fat burst heal. Encounters that have enrage timers, right? So you have a boss at 20-30% that will enrage, and obviously you want to save all of your cooldowns for that phase and then burst him down really quickly. These things come in really handy, because oftentimes in vanilla, it's if then the tank dies in that phase, everybody dies. So you want to have as much damage as possible piled up for certain situations where you want to time your damage and have huge burst. So I would have thought that this you know, Discipline Priest, which is not really missing out on any healing if you are in the correct spec, let's put it that way, right? You would want to go something like this. I don't know. So you have this would be the normal Discipline spec, kind of. You have all the healing talents you need, and you have this cool buff that you can give to your casters. Now we were talking about earlier. We were talking about the Discipline Smite Priest, and have one priest in this one. And oftentimes when you are farming content, or when there's just no damage happening on the raid, you can switch to an offensive playstyle. Basically just using you know, these 2 talents here in Seeing Light, increasing your smite damage by 10%, and then in combination with the Force of Will, you will profit double. And you can, instead of just standing around or overhealing a tank, you can hand out burst damage. So these are the 2 really cool factors, I think, that you know, that Discipline has. And so Ernal says that it's not really for him. For example, it would be always to be holy, right? And so I was wondering why that is. So let's take a look at this. And the cool thing about holy priests is that they do actually have you know, you can go out of these talents. I'll just do the regular spec right now. So the cool thing about Holy Priest, obviously, is you have these 2 talents, Spiritual Healing, and which increases the amount by anything, you know, any heal, 10% baseline. Now the cool thing is you get Spiritual Guidance, right? Spiritual Guidance, 25% extra spell damage and healing from your spirit on top, so it's 35 more, which is pretty strong. I can see that being very strong. Now the thing is though, I don't understand why, for me personally, I don't know why this would be more beneficial than, let's say, you know, the Discipline spec. But we can take a look at this. So you go down here, and now the question for me would already be, is it worth getting Holy Reach for the increased Prayer of Healing range? Because I know that Ernal, for example, was always... Now, it would be great to get some feedback from priests, okay? So from Ernal, for example. I know he's I think he said Prayer of Healing was a really strong spell. So this is a group heal, you target your group and you heal with Prayer of Healing. And if the mana costs are reduced by 20% and you have 20% more range on this, there's also a set bonus that increases this. This is a really, really mana efficient spell, right? The Prayer of Healing. So it would make it more of a group heal and a very mana efficient way of healing, I think. You would, I think, take the Spirit of Redemption, which when you die, you can still heal for 10 seconds. And the ultimate I know is pretty shit. It's a light well you place somewhere and people have to manually click it. Then they get healed, but any damage cancels the effect. So that makes us pretty useless for actual raid encounters, because if they are not actively taking damage, right, it's meh. So it's not really worth picking up the ultimate, I heard. And so you would want to go with your last points somewhere around here. But as you can already see, we're really short on points at some point, right? So obviously we want to get the spiritual healing going. So I can see the Holy Reach maybe not working out, or the improved Prayer of Healing. So this is something along the lines I would spec, right? And if you don't want to take the Holy Reach, to me, if you're not really boosting the Prayer of Healing, what you could do is actually go into the same burst spec, right? And pick up the 10% more damage for smite damage. And, you know, also help out with burst when there's nothing going on, really. Because you already get the 25% spell damage and healing from your total spirit, and another 10% on your smite damage. So you could do that, right? But, right, I would just say the Holy Way is more of a very mana efficient spec, basically. And I can see that being more interesting to people. Now the question is also for me, do you go more into the spell crit or do you go more into inspiration? I know inspiration is pretty cool, but it's already just basically useful for tank healing. So there you go. Those are a couple of thoughts on the Discipline Priest versus the Holy Priest. Let me know what you think, and if we have some priests here on the channel, give us some, you know, illuminate us, right? Let us know what you think, because I can see both of them working out. I just think the Discipline spec is in general more raid beneficial, but I could see one priest being Deep Holy to be just very mana efficient. And I mean another, you know, another option, I think this is something that nobody does, but go out of spirit to save some points, and you could go into all of the cool talents here in Holy, because in the end, if you don't go into spirit, but I know the priests already struggle with buffing the whole raid, so any priest with the divine spirit is very much appreciated. I know that for a fact, so I think this is not really a viable thing, but you could get all of these talents here with the smite damage and the reach. I'm just not so sure how important the reach here really is, right, the Holy Reach, but maybe we can get some more input. Thanks Erno for the comment, and maybe you can comment again what makes the Holy Priest so good, and what you would, what a build would look like. So maybe you can link us a Holy Priest raid spec. That would be very much appreciated, because you could probably just, you know, give us a little bit of insight. So this would be the Holy spec I would go for, and maybe go out of the smite damage if you don't want to burst, and put it somewhere else. Maybe into the Holy Reach or so, to have more range on your heals. I think that's always pretty good. But Salad Cookie said it's not really needed, but I think these are just flavor points in the end. So something around these lines would be the Holy spec. But again, in general, I think the Discipline Priest would be more raid beneficial. Correct me if I'm wrong, let me know what you think. Yeah, guys, and yeah, this has been a little bit longer MTA again, because you had to wait for a lot of episodes during the week where we were moving. We are going to... Oh yeah, and I think I wrote in the comment before that, you want to see some Paladin tanking videos. All you gotta do is tune into the Twitch channel. Right now I'm playing a prot Paladin. That will change in the future, so if you want to see some stuff like that, check out either the old POVs or you know, video on demand POVs, or you know, you can just catch me on the live stream. That's where you will see me tanking, because that's just my main. So yeah, tune in there on the Twitch channel. I'm streaming 5 days a week. Would love to see you there. And there you go. This has been MTA 61. I hope you enjoyed a little bit, and I wish you a pleasant day and have fun in your adventures in WoW Classic. And I'm gonna go and get ready for the raid now. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.